What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome to my new Let's Play in Pokemon FireRed. I am incredibly excited to get this started. I have been a Pokemon fan for as long as I can remember. My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Diamond, and I think I own like every single generation at this point. So I am so excited to get this started. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. That is my test save for this game, so we're just gonna go ahead and start a new game. Go ahead and skip past all of this dialogue. Be brave and keep pushing on. Press the A button and let your adventure begin. Hello there! Glad to meet you! Welcome to the world of Pokemon! My name is Oak. People affectionately refer to me as the Pokemon Professor. This world is inhabited far and wide by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets, others use them for battling. As for myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, tell me, are you a boy or are you a girl? I am a boy. Let's begin with your name. What is it? I am known as Phoenix. If I can type a little bit faster. Phoenix. Right, so your name is Phoenix. Yes, it is. This is my grandson. He's been your rival since you both were babies. What was his name now? So I find it a little bit funny that they put green here because that's not his name in any translation. I know they put green here because it's Fire Red and Leaf Green, and you play as Red, so they would name him Green. His name is actually Blue, but we're gonna go with Gary. Was it Gary? Yes. That's right, I remember now. His name is Gary. Phoenix, your very own Pokemon legend is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokemon awaits. Let's go! Alright, and we're just kind of thrown into it. Before we actually get started, I want to open up my menu and go to options to immediately turn my text speed to fast, and I think I'm gonna go with text frame 5. And we just hit cancel, even though cancel should cancel it, it saves it. For some reason. Next up, I want to go over to the PC and boot it up because these PCs in Generation 3 and before, I believe, have the item storage. And if we go to items and withdraw, we can get a potion to begin our adventure. Go ahead and take our potion, and now we're just going to head on downstairs. Hey Mom, what do you have to say? Right, all boys leave home someday. It said so on TV. Oh yes, Professor Oak next door was looking for you. Alright, bye Mom. I'm going to go play in the dangerous grass now. Also, this isn't Oak's house, it's Gary's house. But we just are going to go up here now. Hey, wait! Don't go out! It's unsafe! Wild Pokemon live in tall grass. You need your own Pokemon for your protection. I know! Here, come with me! And now we slowly walk towards the professor's lab. Why didn't you take me with you, Oak? Gramps, I'm fed up with waiting. Gary, let me think. Oh, that's right, I told you to come. Just wait. Here, Phoenix. There are 3 Pokemon here. Haha. The Pokemon are held inside these Pokeballs. When I was young, I was a serious Pokemon trainer. But now, in my old age, I have only these 3 left. You can have one. Go on, choose. Hey, Gramps, no fair. What about me? Be patient, Gary. You can have one too. All right, and now we get our choice of Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. And I think before we actually get to choosing, that we should go over our choices. So let's go ahead and do that. Before we actually get into the starters, I want to go over a couple of parts within the bios because it's a lot of information being shown at once. The first section I want to go over is the abilities section. Each Pokemon has 1 to 2 abilities that are basically innate powers that are usually beneficial to the Pokemon. For example, all the starters have abilities that increase the power of moves that are within their main type whenever they are low on health. Speaking of health, the next section is the Pokemon stats section. Every Pokemon has 6 stats, those being HP or health points, which is how much damage that Pokemon can take before fainting, attack, which affects how much damage their physical moves do, defense, which determines how much damage they take from other Pokemon's physical attacks, special attack and special defense, which is the same as attack and defense except for special moves, and finally speed, which just determines which Pokemon goes first in battle. And the last section I want to go over is the damage taken section. This section is basically just to show how the Pokemon being gone over takes damage from every type. Times 2 or above means that the type is super effective against the Pokemon, while times 0.5 or less means that the type is not very effective against the Pokemon. Now that we've gone over the parts of these bios, our first option for a starter is Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a grass and poison type and is the only one of the starters to have 2 types right from the start. It is also the easiest starter to use starting off, due to the first 2 gyms being weak to the grass type. Bulbasaur's biggest strength is in its ability to inflict several different status effects from its moves like Poison Powder, Sleep Powder, and Leech Seed. There are a few downsides, however. Bulbasaur strictly gets grass type damage dealing moves through leveling up, and even through TMs, it only gets access to Sludge Bomb as a poison type move. Another downside is that Bulbasaur is a poison type, which is a negative specifically in Kanto due to psychic types being so overpowered in the region. Basically, Bulbasaur is really good in the early game, but gets more difficult to use later on when fire and psychic types show up more often. Next up is our first fire type option in Charmander. Charmander is a pure fire type right now, but becomes a fire flying type later on in its life. Now, I just got done talking about how Bulbasaur is the easiest of the starters to use in the early game due to the first 2 gym leaders being weak to grass type, and if you think about the types that are weak to grass types, they are rock types, ground types, and water types, which just so happens to be the exact 3 types that are super effective against Charmander. This makes Charmander by far the hardest to use of the starters, at least during the early game. With that being said, Charmander ends up having the highest attack and special attack stat out of all of the starters, which allows it to use several different type moves effectively, like Flamethrower, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Iron Tail, and even Brick Break. Notice how I didn't name a flying type move though? That's because the only flying type move that Charizard learns naturally is Wing Attack, which is 60 power. And other than that, the only better move that it learns is Fly, which is an HM move, which is still decently weak with only 70 power. I would recommend that if you want to use Charmander, that you make sure to pick up a second Pokemon, at least temporarily, to get past the first few major fights. But even with that need, Charmander becomes one of the most reliably powerful Pokemon in the game. And last but not least is Squirtle, the water type starter. Squirtle stays a pure water type for life and is also the only one of the starters to start and end as a pure type. So what you see is what you get. Squirtle is also the defensive powerhouse of the starters, boasting both the highest defense and special defense out of all of them. On top of that, being a pure water type means that Squirtle is only weak to 2 types, being electric and grass, which means it's even better at tanking hits. Like the other 2, Squirtle and its evolved forms rely pretty heavily on TMs and HMs to get some of the better moves, but using them, it can get access to moves like Earthquake, Ice Beam, Iron Tail, and Surf. The biggest downside to Squirtle is that it's a pure water type in a region that has 16 different water type evolutionary lines, which is the second highest amount of Pokemon in a type right behind Poison. Overall, I would call Squirtle the most consistent out of the starters, not having any large chunks of the games where it's amazing, but also not having any large parts where it is hindered as much as Charizard or Venusaur would be. Alright, and with our options gone over, who am I going to choose? I think I'm going to go with Squirtle as my starter. This Pokemon is really quite energetic. Phoenix received the Squirtle from Professor Oak. Do you want to give a nickname to this Squirtle? Yes, I do. I am not a big nickname guy for Pokemon. I tend to like to get to know the actual names of the Pokemon and like the actual names of the Pokemon because most of them are at least decently good puns and are kind of funny if you think about them. But I think nicknames are a good idea for this Let's Play. So we are going to name this little Squirtle. Squirtle is the name I will go with. And it's for a couple of reasons. The first is that turtles are a D&D race of turtle people, and since my bottle is based off of a old D&D character that I had, I think it fits very well and is very thematic. But the other reason is that I have the humor of a 8-year-old, and I find the idea of going turtle for the entire playthrough very funny. So we are going to go with Turtle. Okay. I'll take this one then. Gary received the Bulbasaur from Professor Oak. Alright, and we're just going to try to leave. Wait, Phoenix, let's check out our Pokemon. Come on, I'll take you on. Rival Gary would like to battle. Rival Gary sends out Bulbasaur. Oh, for Pete's sake, so pushy as always. Phoenix! You've never had a Pokemon battle before, have you? A Pokemon battle is when trainers pit their Pokemon against each other. The trainer that makes the other trainer's Pokemon faint by lowering their HP to 0 wins. But rather than talking about it, you'll learn more from experience. Try battling and see for yourself. Alright, and we have these 4 options. The fight icon, which lets us fight. The bag, which sends us to our items. Pokemon, but we have no others. And run, but we can't run from a trainer battle. So we're just going to fight. Tackle and Turtle. Inflicting damage on the foe is key to any battle. Alright, and with that being said, our fucking critical hit to start off. That's foreboding. But our rival Gary, if you pick Squirtle like I did, has a level 5 Bulbasaur with the Overgrow ability, with the moves Tackle and Growl. If you picked Bulbasaur as your starter, he will have Charmander at level 5 with the ability of Blaze. Jesus, another critical hit. I'm going to heal with that potion that we got earlier. It's important to get to know your Pokemon thoroughly. This is a list of your Pokemon, Phoenix. Open this to check the skills and moves of your Pokemon. You also choose Pokemon here if you want to use an item on one. And I'm gonna heal because I cannot take another hit. But back to the Charmander. If you pick Bulbasaur, he has a level 5 Charmander with the ability Blaze and the moves Scratch and Growl. And finally, if you pick Charmander, he will have a level 5 Squirtle with the ability Torrent and the moves Tackle and Tail Whip. And hopefully, with 40 HP, we don't lose to this Bulbasaur that has something like 21 or something HP. Because 2 critical hits from this Bulbasaur is incredibly unlucky. Alright, good job, Turtle. It was rough, but we made it through it. That was brutal. That was the first fight. that that only that is an awful like warning of what's to come. But we have defeated our rival Gary. What? Unbelievable! I picked the wrong Pokemon. I think you picked the right Pokemon. It got 2 critical hits. We got $80 for winning. Excellent. If you win, you earn prize money and your Pokemon will grow. Battle other trainers and make your Pokemon strong. Okay, I'll make my Pokemon battle to toughen it up. Phoenix, Gramps, smell you later. I want to actually check my Squirtle real quick and see it has a calm nature, which I want to say lowers attack and raises defense, but I'll have to look it up. And yeah, is it fully healed? It is fully healed. That is the most important thing. So we are just going to head out and head for Viridian City up through Route 1. I guess I'll say bye to Mom real quick. Mom, I'm leaving forever. What do you have to say? Phoenix, you should take a quick rest. Oh, good. You and your Pokemon are looking great. Take care now. Okay, bye, Mom. I guess you don't care that I'm leaving. Aren't I like 10? That seems a bit irresponsible. But we're just going to go through Route 1 first, and I actually want to talk to this guy. Hi, I work at the Pokemart. It's part of a convenient chain selling all sorts of items. Please visit us in Viridian City. I know, I'll give you a free sample. Here you go. We get the potion that we used in our rival fight. We just got a new one, which is lucky since it was a rough battle to begin with. But as we're going through this route, you might have noticed that there is a route chart above my head now, and that will be visible for every single location in the game that has Pokemon that we are able to get. I'm not going to be going over those Pokemon right now because we don't actually have the option of catching any Pokemon at this very moment, but it's good to know what is here and what is available for later on. To specifically go over it, it'll tell you the specific route or location that we're in. It will show you both FireRed and Leaf Green encounter charts. The FireRed will be in the reddish-orange color, and the Leaf Green is in the green color. And then it will tell you the Pokemon and their icon and names that are on each route. But with that being said, we just are going to continue tackling these rats because we have been swarmed by rats. Swarmed, aka 2 rats. And after that, we'll just be making our way up to Viridian City. Oh, I thought I missed. I'm like, what? Did it miss a tail whip? That's funny. And we are now level 7, and I believe, do I get something for level 7? Yes, I have learned Bubble. Finally, well, not finally, it's been a whole like 45 seconds, but we have a stab move, which is something that I will go over later. Also, this game doesn't really go over things very, I want to say very well. So I will be going over all of the buildings here when we first get them. So this building is the Pokemon Center. We go here and we are able to heal our Pokemon just by talking to Nurse Joy. It just takes a couple of seconds. And the other thing that you can do in all Pokemon Centers is first you can see a map here, but you can also go to here and it's a PC where you can either put items in that you don't want to carry or switch around Pokemon if you have more than 6 of them in your, if you have caught more than 6 of them. But the real place we need to go is the Pokemon that convenience store worker has told us about. Hey, you came from Pallet Town. You know Professor Oak, right? His order came in. Can you take it to him? And we receive Oak's parcel. It is a key item. The Pokemart is primarily used for buying items such as potions, Pokeballs, and repels, which we actually can't get right now, but are some of the best items in the game. But now we just need to make our way back, and it's actually very easy to get back to Pallet Town without getting into any fights. All we have to do is jump down these ledges and hope that we don't get any battles in that last patch of 5 grass. Oak, I have something for you. Oh, Phoenix, how is my old Pokemon? Old Pokemon? It's been 5 minutes at most. What do you mean, old? Well, it seems to be growing more attached to you. You must be talented as a Pokemon trainer. What's that? You have something for me. We have delivered Oak's parcel. Ah, it's my custom Pokeball. I had it on order, thank you. Gramps. I almost forgot, what did you call me for? Oh, right, I have a request for you two. On the desk there is my invention, the Pokédex. It automatically records data on Pokemon you've seen or caught. It's a high-tech encyclopedia. Phoenix, Gary, take these with you. And we now have the Pokédex. You can't get detailed data on Pokemon just from seeing them. You must catch them to obtain complete data. So, here are some tools for catching Pokemon. And we receive 5 Pokeballs. And we just put them in the Pokeball container. When a wild Pokemon appears, it's fair game. Just throw a Pokeball at it and try to catch it. This won't always work, however. A healthy Pokemon can escape. You have to be lucky. To make a complete guide on all the Pokemon in the world, that was my dream. But I'm too old. I can't get the job done. So I want you two to fulfill my dream for me. Get moving, you two. This is a great undertaking in Pokemon history. All right, Gramps, leave it to me. Phoenix, I hate to say it, but you won't be necessary for this. I know, I'll borrow a town map from my sis. I'll tell her not to lend you one, Phoenix. Don't bother coming around to my place after this. So wait, you're telling me that the whole reason you want a 10-year-old to go out into the dangerous world of Pokemon is to complete a Pokédex, which was your life's work, because you're too old? I can't walk around, my legs hurt, and my joints are bad. But anyway, Grandpa asked you to run an errand? Geez, that's lazy of him. Here, this will help you. And we received the town map from Gary's sister, Daisy. Also, a little errand doesn't seem like the right verbiage for what's happening. But now that we have Pokeballs, I think it's a perfect time to actually go over the Pokemon that can be found here. So the first up is not Rattata, but it is Pidgey, the very first regional bird. Pidgey is actually a decently reliable Pokemon, having relatively high stats for early game Pokemon, at least once it's evolved. The biggest downside that Pidgey actually has is that while being a flying type, it doesn't actually get that many flying type moves, and its best flying type move for a very long time is Wing Attack, which is only 60 power and gets outclassed by a lot of moves later on, and it will feel pretty weak having only Wing Attack for at least about half the game. But with that, the other Pokemon we need to go over is Rattata. Rattata is the early game rodent of this game, and in fact the first early game rodent. But I actually think that Rattata is underappreciated and actually a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for. First off, Rattata is a normal type, so it actually is only weak to fighting types, which is a huge thing in this game because fighting types in this game are one, not plentiful, and two, kind of nerfed by a different type that we'll go over later. And it's also immune to ghost types, which also aren't very plentiful, but it's nice to have an immunity. The other thing is that Rattata and its evolved form Raticate have the Guts ability. And the Guts ability make Rattata and Raticate actually really good. So the Guts ability is whenever Rattata or Raticate are poisoned, burned, or paralyzed, its attack is increased by 50%. That means that if Rattata is statused by one of those three, its attack goes from its base attack to 81, which is higher than any Pokemon we've seen so far. And Raticate's attack, when activating its Guts ability, actually goes to a monstrous 122, which in comparison to like other Pokemon, it's higher than like Charizard's special attack, which is insane to think about. So if you're getting Raticate and in turn or Rattata and in turn Raticate, make sure that you're getting that getting the Guts ability. But with that being said, I actually want to go ahead and catch this Rattata. Not for my team, but the other things about Raticate and Rattata are that they actually make decently good HM Pokemon, which we don't have any HMs as of right now, but it's good to have a spare Pokemon regardless. So we're just going to catch this Rattata. And its data has been entered into the Pokedex. And I will not be nicknaming this Rattata because it is not going to be part of my main team. And with that, we are back in Viridian City. And I'm going to go heal, but I'm going to cut this out because it's not super exciting to watch people here, so we'll be right back. Alright, now that we're fully healed, I actually want to head over here to the Pokemart. Because for some reason, this guy wouldn't sell to us until we dropped off the parcel with Oak, but now we can actually buy from him. I want to buy 11 Pokeballs in order to get up to 15. I think I want 3 antidotes because we're heading into a place with a lot of poison types, and I do not like poison. And then 1 potion, I think, to replace the potion that I used in the first rival fight because of 2 critical hits. Just an awful start to a game. But up that direction is the catching tutorial, but I don't actually want to go that way yet because, let's be honest, no one likes catching tutorials. But if we head over this direction, we can actually find a potion behind this tree. And then if we go ahead and head back down here and along this path, onto Route 22, I believe, if we were to keep heading down this path, it would lead us over to the Pokemon League and the Victory Road. But we can't actually go there without all the gym badges. But because there's grass here, we can find more Pokemon. So I think we should go ahead and go over them. So the first Pokemon that we can find here is Mankey. Mankey is incredibly important for one group of players specifically. Anyone that picked Charmander as their starter should really consider picking up a Mankey because it is the only Pokemon between here and the first gym that is actually strong against the first gym's type. And like I said in Charmander's bio, Charmander is weak to the first gym's type. So it's good to have a Pokemon that you can rely on to actually deal with the first gym. It's less important for Squirtle or Bulbasaur users because Squirtle and Bulbasaur both are strong against the first type, so they don't really need any help fighting the first gym. Other than that, Mankey only learns normal and fighting type moves through level up, so it relies pretty heavily on TMs to get the coverage that it really needs. But through TMs, it can learn moves like Earthquake, Rock Slide, Brick Break, Iron Tail, so it gets some pretty good moves. Other than that, the biggest downside to Mankey is actually that it's a fighting type in Kanto. I mentioned it in Bulbasaur's bio, but the Psychic type are just super overpowered in Kanto due to not having any Dark types in Kanto, the Bug types being incredibly weak, and then the only Ghost type family in Kanto is also weak to Psychic. So Psychic really has no checks in Kanto. So Mankey really gets nerfed just because of the amount of overpowered Psychics throughout the Kanto region. But with that being said, I would actually say that Mankey is a pretty good team member, even with the whole Psychic thing. At least for the short term. But it definitely does get outclassed later on in the game. And the only other Pokemon, or new Pokemon, that can be found here is Spearow. Spearow is the counterpart to Pidgey, being both a normal flying type as well as having the Keen Eye ability. And while Spearow never actually reaches the heights of the Pidgey family in terms of its base stat total, it actually becomes faster and stronger than Pidgeot after it's fully evolved. Another important thing that I should mention is that when a Pokemon is evolving, on the evolution screen, if you press the B button, you can actually stop the evolution from happening. So you keep it at the stage it is instead of letting it go to the next stage. This is incredibly important for Spearow specifically, because Spearow learns at level 25, if you keep it from evolving, it learns Aerial Ace, which is a 60 power flying type move that can never miss and is actually really decent for the middle part of the game. And I say that because if you let it evolve at level 20 like it would normally, Spearow never learns Aerial Ace. So you would be stuck with the move Peck, which I believe is like 40 power, for a very long time until Spearow reaches level 40, where it learns another flying type move that can deal damage, which is Drill Peck, which is an 80 power flying type move, which is actually a really good move. But if you have Peck for that whole time, it's just a nightmare to raise Spearow with just Peck. So if you're using a Spearow and after that a Fearow, just make sure you keep it from evolving to level 25 to get that Aerial Ace. I promise you, it'll be worth it in the long run. But with that being said, I believe we are about to level up to level 9. Tortle just got to level 9. And I think we are just going to head out of this route. If you were to head up farther and in that direction, there's actually a rival fight over there. But I only have a level 9 Squirtle and I believe a level 3 Rattata, if I'm checking. Yeah, level 3. Gary has 2 level 9s. I literally cannot beat him right now. So we're just going to leave that for later. Also, if you came up here earlier before you got the Pokedex, this guy would be laying on the ground, I believe with a stomachache or just being tired. But let's go ahead and talk to him. Well, now, I've had my coffee, and that's what I need to get going. What is that red box you have? Ah, so you working on your Pokedex? Then let me give you a word of advice. Whenever you catch a Pokemon, the Pokedex automatically updates its data. You don't know how to catch a Pokemon? I suppose I better show you then. I don't know how to catch a Pokemon. I have 2! Where do you think the Rattata came from? But I guess I should probably go over how to actually catch a Pokemon, because I didn't before. He's just gonna throw a Pokeball like a mad person. But what you should do is you should attack the Pokemon until it's at least yellow to red health, which makes it easier to catch. And then you go to your bag and select the Pokeball you want to use, and then you throw it at the Pokemon and hope you catch it. There's several different types of Pokeballs, but we'll get into those later. And that's basically all you need to know to catch a Pokemon. If you inflict status effects onto Pokemon, it does become easier, but we haven't actually gotten to any status effects, so we'll also go over that later. There! Now tell me, that was educational, wasn't it now? And here, take this too. We have gained TTTV. Sure. If there's something you don't understand, watch that. It'll teach you about the basics of being a Pokemon trainer. Something else I want to mention is this guy talked about the Pokedex. How does he know what a Pokedex is? Professor Oak told us that he created the Pokedex, but wasn't able to complete it, which presumably means he's the only one that has had it, right? So how does this old man know what a Pokedex is? But with that being said, I think this is a good spot to end our first episode. So I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time, we're going to be heading up this way to Route 2 and the Viridian Forest. But until then, happy adventuring!